And I think we're live. For those of you at home, thank you for joining our second live stream. This event is for our 15 years at 15 Elm Street celebration, where we are doing live sessions with volunteers in real time. What you're about to watch is an accurate depiction of what a private online hypnosis session looks like, at least with me in 2021. So this represents my current work, but it might or might not represent the work of another practitioner. And since it's a live session, any mistakes that I make will be included. We've had this slogan of "We make hypnosis make sense" for quite a number of years now, and this is a way to kind of do the same thing, but with more of a show, don't tell kind of approach to explaining what hypnosis is and what it can do and how it basically works. Today we have Agatha joining us for her second and most likely her final session for smoking cessation. We'll get an update from her in a moment, but in the meantime, if you have any questions during this stream, I encourage you to use the chat box here on YouTube. One of the benefits of a live stream is that you can ask questions in real time, and then I'll answer your questions after the session's over before we wrap up the video. And the chat box is moderated by Heather from my office if you have any questions along the way. Just note, you shouldn't be listening to this while you're driving, while you're cooking, or while you're operating any kind of equipment or machinery that could be hazardous if your attention were elsewhere. And this live stream is for informational or educational purposes. It's not meant for you to actually engage in as though you were the client. So I do want you to kind of keep your critical mind engaged, keep your analytical mind engaged, because what I'm going to be communicating is meant for our volunteer, Agatha, and not necessarily for you or your specific needs. So with that being said, we're going to get into just a bit of a catch-up from the past week. Agatha, if you could give us an update as to how you've been since your session last week, how you've been feeling, what has changed, what hasn't changed, what other triggers might you have noticed, and so on, then I'll be up to speed.
Okay. Basically, definitely the urge to have a cigarette has definitely been much less than before our session, especially the morning urge where I would go out shortly after I woke up. That's basically not been there. I've just been kind of, going on with my day, and then really only having a cigarette when I absolutely feel like, I can't, not have it. But again, I was smoking maybe 5 to 8. I would say 3 to 4 maybe. So
perfect.
Not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's slightly better than average. I encourage people to cut back to around half, and you've cut back to around half. Even when I encourage people to cut back to around half, usually people end up landing at about a third or a quarter. So you cutting back by half is meaningful. You've responded better than the average person, and the average person does stop at the end of the second session. So that bodes very well. Right. Is there anything else positive that you've noticed?
I have more energy. I feel less, when I stopped smoking before, I didn't feel like that heavy feeling that's associated with cigarettes. So that's, the less I have, the less I have that feeling. So that's good. I do like that feeling.
Perfect. Okay. You mentioned that you're down to 3 or 4 cigarettes, and you smoke these when you feel like you must have the cigarette. Yeah. And ideally, if everything lines up well, at the end of the session, you'll be ready to cut that down to 0. So when you think about cutting from those few cigarettes down to none whatsoever, what kinds of worries and anxieties and doubts come to mind?
Just basically like how I'm going to get a break. But, after our last session, I sat down and just jotted down some things that I could do instead of having a cigarette. So like things that take 3 to 4 minutes that I can just kind of like, okay, I need to step out. I'm going to go do this instead of a cigarette. One of them being meditation. You can find like a 3 to 4 minute meditation, or even like writing in my journal, stuff like that I just kind of wrote down, so I have like a plan in place.
Perfect. Awesome. In this past week, have you tried meditating or journaling during a break instead of smoking?
Journaling, yes. Meditating is a little bit harder with the 2 kids in the house running up and down. So it's that usually by the time they're in bed, that's when I would have the time. But then I'm so tired, that's the last thing I want to do. I just kind of want to veg out and go to bed.
Got it. When you've done journaling, have you found that it is a good enough break that without the cigarette, it still feels like you've tended to your own needs? Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Perfect.
Definitely.
Perfect.
Even more so than a cigarette, because you're actually like writing out feelings instead of just thinking about them, right? So.
Perfect. Perfect. So we're going to reinforce that as normal for you to kind of take some time out of every day, a few times a day, to self-reflect, to attend to your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own needs. We're going to normalize that. We're going to normalize the lighter feeling. We're going to normalize all the positive changes you've made. Are there any other challenges you foresee, or are there any triggers that you're concerned about, or anything else you want me to put a spotlight on today?
I am returning back to work in a few weeks after being off for 2 because of COVID and maternity leave. So that's my oldest is also starting school. So I could see those being stressors that if they get too intense, I could see myself wanting to smoke in those situations. Those are like the biggest ones that are happening in the near future, and my little one's turning a year.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other challenges you foresee, any other triggers, or anything that might impede your wholehearted decision at the end of the session to live a smoke-free life?
I think that's covered it.
Got it. Okay. I don't know whether I mentioned this last time, but increasingly I've come to see quitting smoking as a sacrifice. And it means that even if you have enjoyed tobacco, or even if you still might enjoy tobacco in the future, the point of sacrificing something is that you are giving up something that you like, and it is in service of a better future. So that's the decision I'll be asking you to make at the end of this session. We'll want you to kind of be open and honest and sincere, because if there is anything preventing you from making that sacrifice, then we want to address it. Even if we're dragging this out into a 3rd session, even if we're doing another session next week, we kind of want you to be able to make that wholehearted, clear-headed decision under the idea that if it is a wholehearted, clear-headed decision, then in the future, if you want to have a cigarette, you'll just defer back to the decisions you've made today. And it should feel like a major life decision, like buying a house, like getting married, getting divorced. It is a major life decision. So if you kind of treat it with that seriousness, then more will be in your favor. So having said that, do you have any questions or thoughts at all before we begin the hypnosis part?
No, I think I'm ready. I think I'm good.
Perfect. Okay. Whenever you're ready, then you can just close your eyes, lean back, get as comfortable as you can get. Then breathe in as deeply as you can. When your lungs are full, then breathe out. Perfect. In every breath you're breathing, you're feeling your own aliveness. And it's aliveness that will outlast what you had with tobacco. What you had with tobacco really perhaps never should have started, but at least it's going to have an end date, and that end date is today. But your aliveness will far, far outlast what you had with tobacco. And you'll have a brighter future because of this decision that you're making today. More and more, feeling your very own aliveness will be a first-rate source of comfort and stability and peace and relaxation, even of joy and pleasure. especially compared to having a cigarette, which increasingly will feel like a last-rate source of anything. It's for the same reason why a plastic bag full of spray paint to huff on feels like a last-rate solution for anything. And this, as I've described, is a return to normal. More and more, the world around you will validate that life as a non-smoker is better in every way. And all your smokers who deal with, all your friends, all your non-smoker friends who deal with life, breathing clean air, well, they're the ones who are doing life right. They're the ones you'll emulate. They're the ones you'll be among. So in every breath, although clean air has no advertising campaign, you can feel how wonderful and rich and important and valuable these breaths of clean air actually are. Then I'll have you bring your attention to your eyelids and let them become so soft and loose and comfortable that they just don't work. Whenever you're sure they're so soft they don't work, then give them a test. Show yourself they don't work, and whenever you're sure, just give me a thumbs up or nod your head so I can see. Thank you. Then take that softness that you've caused in your eyelids and spread it down to the bottoms of your feet to cause a greater softness and comfort in every muscle, from the biggest to the smallest. From head to toe, you can enjoy this kind of self-generated comfort and relaxation guilt-free, with no hesitation or inhibition, because this is a first-rate relaxation caused by breathing clean air and filling your mind with good ideas about what you really need, and good ideas about what you can achieve, and good ideas about what is right or good. For the rest of your life, this kind of relaxation, this kind of comfort and stability and groundedness, you can give to yourself anytime you like, as much as you like, with no reservation. Then on the count of 3, I'll ask you first to open and then to close your eyes. When you open your eyes, you'll see the room around you is just as you left it. But when you close your eyes, you're going to go even deeper into your inner world, even deeper into an inner world where you are connected with more of the good feelings, more of the appreciation for life, more of what is truthful and reassuring, or truthful and inspiring. 1, 2, and 3, they can open, and whenever you close them, another wave of comfort spreads down as you go even deeper into an inner world where you are seeing and feeling more of what's good, what's comforting, and what is also, just like your aliveness, outlasting what you had with tobacco. Then again on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3, they can open, and either way, another wave of comfort will go down as you go even deeper into your inner world, and deeper into an inner world that you're realizing has much more than just stress or worry or doubt, but which also has appreciation for life, including your own. It also has realization of so many capabilities. It has the better vision of a better future that you get to create starting today. Then for a third time, you can open your eyes, but you don't have to. And either way, another wave of relaxation will go all of the way down. 1, 2, and 3. And either way, another wave goes down. And you can enjoy this self-generated comfort, this self-generated relaxation. Although my voice is guiding you through your inner world, My voice won't be in your ears forever. Yet your own thoughts, now informed by my guidance, will be with you forever. And more you will look inward to find a much greater peace and comfort and stability in your inner world than you ever found in tobacco. Those who believe that tobacco is not even an option, and who would rather be outside in the clean air, or who would rather call a friend, or who would rather write into their journal, well, they've been doing things right all along. And you will be among them, going to first-rate solutions whenever you're distressed, or whenever you're upset, or whenever you're overwhelmed, or whenever you're just busy. You'll go to first-rate solutions so that you never have to turn to last-rate ones. Now, at the same time that you've been turning inward and relaxing your body, your mind has also begun to relax, to soften, and to let go. And to relax your mind so it's even looser, softer, and more comfortable than this, I'll ask you in a moment to begin counting down from 100, deepening the relaxation between every count until you reach a headspace where you just don't even care what the rest of the numbers ought to be. And this time it'll be even easier than the first time last week. So whenever you're ready, beginning with the number 100, I'll have you begin counting down out loud, please.
100.
Perfect. Then look for a greater sense that you don't have to know, and you don't have to care, and you can let go. More and more, the numbers will become unimportant as a sense that you don't have to know or care takes over. It is that carefree feeling you can allow and develop. Whenever they're all gone, just nod your head to let me know. And until then, keep growing that sense that you don't have to finish what you started and you don't have to know or care. And sometimes it's much more powerful when you don't care. Whenever they're all gone, just nod your head clearly. Thank you. Now give yourself credit for that, because already you've achieved a relaxation of body and a relaxation of mind, and both are better than anything you can find coming out of the butt end of a cigarette. Then imagine that the chair you're on is back in that gigantic plush elevator. You've gone down this elevator before, and today it's going to take you as deep as you can go today, which perhaps will be even deeper than last week. 20. Then you're going deeper. 19. And you're feeling good. 18. Letting go. 17. Deeper and deeper. 16. All the way down. 15. 14. Deeper and deeper again. 13. Zooming down. 12. 11. 10. All the way down. 9. Feeling good. 8. Feeling comfortable. 7. As you go all the way down. 6. Deeper and deeper. 5. All of the way down. 4. Deeper and deeper again. 3. 2. And 1. Now here the elevator comes to a total stop. Here the doors are opening, and you found yourself back in that headspace where it's so much easier here to feel your aliveness and to be connected with your humanity and to be connected with your instinct to keep this breath of life clean. It's easier here to see the better truths and to imagine a better future and to believe in that better future. And it's in this headspace that a week ago, you began to separate yourself from tobacco. such that you can no longer believe tobacco will always be in your life or that's going to be hard to stop. That belief may have been there until you went your first morning not even thinking about it very much at all. At this point, you've had the experience of the past week. It's no longer just a fantasy that you can put tobacco out of your mind. It's not just my ideal or someone else's idea. It's now become your lived experience that you don't need tobacco, at least as much as you thought. After today, you're going to realize you don't need tobacco at all. Just like no child, no cat, no bird, and no tree needs tobacco, you also don't need tobacco at all. But the past week has been a stepping stone to reach this point where by the end of this session today, you'll be ready to sacrifice tobacco, to be done with it, to be finished with it, and to commit to life as a non-smoker. It will be a return to normal. And then from this day onward, each day that you live will reaffirm your new normal. Each day you live, you'll be breathing clean air. You'll be looking inward to connect with the better feelings. You'll be affirming your life. You'll be among those who breathe only clean air and never choose to taint it. And the world itself will back up this idea that life as a non-smoker is a good one and a better one than when you had tobacco as a part of your life. So looking back over the past week, make sure to give yourself credit for all the cigarettes you did not smoke. Give yourself credit for when you were doing journaling instead. Give yourself credit for figuring out a plan to get out of the rut you'd fallen into. Give yourself credit for mentally preparing yourself for today, such that by the end of this session, with twice as much guidance as after the first one, you'll be ready to live a life that's smoke-free. More and more, all the good things you've noticed and the changes you've made over this past week will become your new normal. But your new normal is actually an awful lot like how you had lived before you ever had your first cigarette. Of course, you're now an adult with adult responsibilities, and now you're a mother rather than a child. But still, once upon a time, you would live day after day, week after week, year after year, never having or wanting a cigarette. And it was the most natural and normal thing in the world. And the idea of having a cigarette was completely abhorrent. That is normal. It's your years where you created smoke where there's none to breathe smoke instead of clean air that are somewhat unusual, that are a product of the last century, really. In a moment, I'm going to be counting back from 5 to 1. And as I count back, I want you to let your mind wander all the way back in time to some pleasant time in your childhood, somewhere outdoors, perhaps in nature, or some other place outdoors that you like. Don't try to go anywhere in particular, just let something pleasant pop to mind on the count of 1. 5. Then you're beginning to let your mind wander back in time to a pleasant time. 4. As you get younger and younger, going backwards and backwards. 3. Feeling smaller and smaller, perhaps more and more free. 2. And you're almost there. And 1. Now be there. Notice what you see, hear, feel, and experience. And if you could tell me in just one word, are you inside or outside?
Outside.
Perfect. And how old are you?
8.
Perfect. Be this 8-year-old girl outside. breathing pristine air, feeling very comfortable despite being very much a non-smoker. Notice all that you see, hear, and feel. Notice if anyone's around you, and if anyone is, who. And notice what's happening next. And you can let your mind wander backwards in time or forwards in time as you like to other pleasant times in your childhood. Because this is normal. And it's normal for you too. As a kid, maybe there are some adults around you who smoke sometimes, but of course, you know that's not for you. Many kids even hold their breath if someone's smoking around them. Many kids would shout at the adults around them to stop smoking. And perhaps as an 8-year-old, you had this innate wisdom that clean air is the real thing, and clean air is the best stuff. And at recess, when you finally had a chance to run outside, out of the stuffy classrooms, it was only clean air for you. Well, feel it again. Connect with it again. Because this is normal. This is natural. This is authentic and truthful to who you are. And from this perspective, perhaps you can embrace your birthright as a non-smoker and look forward in time to see yourself in 2021 a mother yourself. And as a mother, you would somehow get distracted by so much of life to lose touch with your instincts. But from the perspective of a child, I'll ask you to speak to the present day Agatha. You don't have to say a single thing out loud. Just share with the present day you what life as a non-smoker is like, and how right it is, and how good it is. There needn't be any sense of shame or judgment. It could just be wonder, excitement, joy, sharing with the present day you how life as a non-smoker is nothing to be afraid of, and is actually quite wonderful, quite enlivening. Take the time you need, and when you're done, just nod your head clearly or give me a thumbs up so I can see. Give me a good clear signal, because I'm not sure thank you. Now, the young Agatha spoke the truth about her lived experience. And I would suggest that perhaps she has some really good points. You were born as a non-smoker. It is normal. There's no question about that. It was always the thinking or feeling or self-image around having tobacco that was never authentic or genuine or truthful or instinctive or right. And thankfully, today as an adult, you have your own children to remind you that a human being is born smoke-free. And a human being does not ever need tobacco in order to take a break, or get a breath of clean air, or to self-reflect, or to feel all right, or to overcome stress, or to relieve boredom, or to do one of the many, many other things that adults often falsely believe that they need a cigarette to do. Now, between the age of 8 and today, at some point you would have a first cigarette. And that's where you kind of started losing touch with your instincts. That's when you started to kind of normalize something that never was normal to begin with. And we're going to take another journey back in time to find the time, or at least a time, when tobacco was very new to you. As I count back, you're going to find yourself back at the moment you smoked your first cigarette, or one of the first cigarettes in your life. Again, don't try to go anywhere in particular. Just let something pop into your mind on the count of 1. 5, you're going toward your younger years. 4, 3, and you're almost there. 2, and 1. Let it come to mind. Notice what you see, hear, and feel. In one word, are you inside or outside?
Outside.
Perfect. And how old are you?
13.
Thank you. And you don't have to say anything that you don't want to, but you can let the scene play out. Notice what happens. And in one word, can you tell me how you feel?
Guilty.
Choking. I would suggest that it's normal to reject tobacco and tobacco smoke with all your heart, with every ounce of your body. I would suggest that this 13-year-old girl knows a thing or two about what her lungs really need and what her body really deserves. And it's the kids who would have her believe otherwise who are wrong. And I would suggest that her instinct to reject the smoke, to cough it up, even to feel nauseated, or the instinct that tells you that you've just done something to poison yourself, is normal and is natural and is a truthful perception of what's happening. So go with the feeling. This feeling should have stayed normal. Now, we know what would happen without further guidance, but what we're going to do is we're going to create an alternative timeline of your life. So I want you to roll the clock back to when you were still a non-smoker, just 13 and still a non-smoker. Before you do that to yourself, before you poison yourself, before your body reacts very naturally to that poisoning, find yourself as someone who's stayed smoke-free for 13 years. When you're there, just nod your head clearly so I can see. Thank you. We're going to hold this moment in time because we do know what would happen if you were to break from your own instincts, if you were to believe the false ideas that were commonplace in the last part of the last century. But today we're going to create an alternative timeline of your life to see what your life would be like if you just keep breathing clean air, if you stayed true to your instincts, if you lived kind of like a 21st century human being, despite this being an earlier time. And I'm going to let you roll the clock forward to see what that day is like as a non-smoker, still a non-smoker. For you to simply say, no, thank you, or not for me. To keep breathing clean air. My guess is your friends are still your friends. Those who care about you, they care about you enough. They don't want you to be subject to a poisoning. Anyone who would pretend that your friendship depends on your poisoning yourself is not really so good of a friend. And of course, there are better ways to feel like an individual, better ways to be cool, better ways to exhibit sophistication or good taste. And imagine yourself just going through your teenage years along this alternative timeline, where past the age of 13, you stay smoke-free. And you're going to go through all the normal ups and downs of life, all the ups and downs of adolescence. The major milestones will happen. But there's no situation where a cigarette is necessary. And there's no situation that is improved by having a cigarette. It's because no one needs tobacco. There will be times when you need support and validation. There will be times when you will need to feel like you belong. There will be times when you want to feel that you are different from other kids or different from your family. There are going to be times when you want to assert yourself as an individual. And you can do all of these things without ever having a cigarette. Though there will be many times when you'll need to relax, when you'll need to take a break. There'll be many times when you need to step outside to break free from the pack, and you'll do all of those things without a cigarette. Just like the kids who never smoke in the first place. Then imagine yourself beginning to grow older through your adolescence, into your late teens, and your earlier 20s, where a person will gain increasing independence, where it'll become legal for you to buy tobacco, and yet without ever having normalized that regular poisoning. There's no inclination or desire. Then let the younger you go through her 20s, and you'll see there's still no situation where you ever need a cigarette, and there's no situation that's improved by a cigarette. Yet there are many situations where you will need to reflect, and there will be many situations when you'll need to step aside from others, and there'll be many situations when you'll need to be alone with your thoughts, and there are many situations when you'll need to relax, and there are many situations where you've had enough of the stuffy indoors air, and you'll want to step outside, kind of like a kid at recess. And you're going to give yourself everything you need. You'll give yourself breaks. You'll give yourself sometimes some internal verbal encouragement, some positivity. The more you are an adult, the more you will be your own best source of comfort and stability and validation and encouragement and praise. Sometimes you do need to hear you're doing great, but the older you get, the fewer people will feel like it's appropriate to say that to you. So in your own head and your own heart, you'll tell yourself, good work. Well done. And sometimes that's the missing need. But the missing need is never nicotine. It's never tobacco. A person doesn't need tobacco. A person doesn't need nicotine. A person does not need cigarettes. It's always been a false idea that people do. It's always been a false idea that you ever did. Then let yourself grow older into your 30s. As time progresses, you'll gain more responsibilities. You'll take on more, and you're also going to be capable of taking on more. And you're still going to have all the needs that you did when you were younger, and you're going to have more needs still, and you're going to take care of all the needs that you have. And with first-rate solutions, like meditating or journaling, or chatting with a friend, or reading a book, or listening to music, or getting some physical activity, or being in nature, or having the companionship of even a wild animal who just happens to land or walk in front of you, you'll fulfill all of your heart's needs as a non-smoker. Then let the younger Agatha come through all the years, up to the present, up to 2021, until the younger you and the present day you can give each other a big hug and integrate together. Because you're the same person, got the same heartbeat, the same humanity. And as of today, you can look backward and you can see two paths. Not just the one you did take, but the one that could so easily have happened if you never had a first cigarette. And after today, your life will be a continuation of that path you just saw here, where you'll continue living as a non-smoker does. And you'll come to see any thought or feeling that you, quote, need a cigarette as wrong. You'll see it as it's not truthful or authentic or real to you. You will continue to sometimes need a break. You'll continue to sometimes need to get away. You'll continue to sometimes need some self-care, and you are going to give yourself everything that you need. And you'll never have to turn to something that you don't. It can be quite freeing, quite liberating, quite empowering to make a sacrifice of something that it turns out you never needed to carry along with you to begin with. Before we get to that decision point, we'll briefly again glance at your future to see what to expect if you were to continue that alternative timeline in your life today and tomorrow and beyond. You have the same lungs, the same heartbeat, the same humanity. So imagine yourself going the rest of the day knowing that your decision is not ahead of you anymore, but your decision is behind you. You'll be breathing this clean air, this life-giving, life-affirming air that every human being and that all living things need. You'll be keeping away the poison that you don't need and that poisons everyone who consumes it. So you can see yourself tossing out any cigarettes or lighters or ashtrays to just get them out of your reach. You can see yourself perhaps making sure that your journal is within reach. You will normalize life as a non-smoker. It is a return to normal. And it was always the smoking habit that never really fit with your conscience or with your knowledge or with the century you live in today. But you will keep fulfilling all your needs through first-rate solutions. And I would suggest it's going to be even better in the coming days and weeks and months and years than when you had quit smoking in the past. It's because you've gotten some guidance as to what to think and what to hold in your heart and what to keep in your focus. You never really quite got such strong guidance when you became a non-smoker in the past. But looking forward this time, you will have been clearly guided as to what to think, what to keep in your heart and mind. So you can see yourself continuing to focus on how normal, authentic, truthful, genuine it is to live another hour, then another day, another week, another month, still a non-smoker. You can see any thought at all that a cigarette would be nice or good as inauthentic and even toxic or poisonous. Much like some people in toxic relationship, they feel like they want the person who's the worst influence in their life. So you can see any thoughts that you, quote, need or want tobacco as just a remnant of what was a toxic relationship. And what you are gaining is your freedom, your self-respect, your good health. You're gaining a clearer conscience because you're acting in accordance with what you want to see in future generations and what you want to normalize for your children and what you understand to be good and right. You're acting in accordance with all the knowledge, all the scientific and medical knowledge that you have about tobacco. You're acting in accordance with your own goals. Looking forward, you can see how the continuation of life as a non-smoker is, well, it's normal. It's perhaps right and fitting, and it feels right and fitting in a way that smoking never did. Just like you can enjoy a self-generated comfort for the rest of your life with zero guilt, you can also enjoy the rest of your life as a non-smoker with zero guilt. And that's a good way to live. You can see the weeks and the months turning into seasons and years. And life as a non-smoker is good. No one's really making you live as a non-smoker. It's because in your own heart, in your own mind, in every cell in your body, you understand that tobacco is poison. And life as a non-smoker is the clear and obvious path forward. Nothing else makes sense. And if you cross paths with smokers, you can kind of hear out of their mouths or see in their worldview the deceit that tobacco has put inside their heads. Because all those who feel like they need tobacco are wrong. They will always need some support and validation and encouragement and love and affection and everything else you recognize a human being needs. But not even your friends who say they need a cigarette actually need a cigarette. Some of them, if they've smoked enough, might suffer if they were to have one, but they'll decide in their own time, with their own conscience, what they'll do with their lives and their health and their futures. You have decided, or at least by the end of this experience, you will have decided what you will do for your body, with your life, with your head, with your heart, with your future. And I'll have you take this vision of a better future and bring it back to the present, where you're at a crossroads and you're at a decision point. And here you've looked at your past and you've seen your past with tobacco. You've also seen your past without tobacco. And here you've looked at your future as a non-smoker. And here is where I'll ask if you are ready to make the sacrifice and to make the commitment and the decision so that you are done with tobacco and you can have that future you've just envisioned. If you're ready, just nod your head clearly. If you have any reservations or doubts, then shake your head. Thank you. Then, with all your heart, with all your mind, with every cell that's in your body, you can accept and embrace the truths I've spoken. Both the truths I've spoken last week that you've affirmed in your actual real life in the days since, and the truths I've spoken to you today. After this experience, there's only one path forward. This is a major life decision. It's like you've gotten the deed to a new house. It's like you've gotten citizenship in a new country. It's like you've decided to break up with a really toxic ex to embrace a loving life, a good life. It's a major decision. Even after the session, there might be a tad of lingering grief or a feeling like that you had some things that were good, but ultimately, you're making this decision today, right here, right now, so that you don't have to think about it anymore. What you had with tobacco went back and forth for years and years. You've turmoiled, you've suffered for so long, that at this point, you are ready to be done with tobacco, to sever the link, to be finished. You are a non-smoker as of today. You'll be a non-smoker for the rest of your life. This is the path you were born to be on. This is the path that every human being was born to be on. And you are no exception. From this day forward, you're returning to what's normal, authentic, and natural. And it's just as true for you as it is for your children, as it is for any bird in the sky or animal in the forest. And as a non-smoker, living among non-smokers, you will see plenty of validation for your new life around you. You'll be breathing the same air as all of your neighbors, as the trees lining the street, or your neighbors' dogs and cats and wild birds. You'll be breathing the same air that you wish upon anyone else on the planet. This is why you won't have to hear me forever. During the last session, the last week, and today, I've nudged you into joining all the rest of us so that you yourself can see that you don't need tobacco, and you never did. But you always have needed a break to journal, to reflect, to breathe, to think, to be without necessarily doing, or to self-reflect. You'll keep giving yourself what you need, and you'll give yourself first-rate sources of comfort and stability, first-rate sources of all the good things that you might wish upon anyone else. At the same time, that you keep away all the toxicity that you would keep away from a child, or an animal, or even a houseplant. Let it all sink in. Let it sink in as settled, finished, and done. Like all breakups, ending what you had with tobacco will be not just a slamming of the door, but a locking of the door. It might try to creep back into your life, and the answer is no forever. It will empower you to say no forever. It will liberate you to say no forever. And finally, you get to live in accordance with your nature and your conscience and all the knowledge that you have about how life as a non-smoker is better. Then take it all and let it sink in. This matter is done, finished, and settled with, and it's just a matter of time before any lingering or nagging thoughts about tobacco will just be gone. And tobacco will be at the very darkest, mustiest corner at the very back of your mind where you've shoved every bad ex you've ever had. That's where tobacco belongs. Not anywhere close to the light. Then I'm going to count up from 1 to 5. Begin to bring all of your attention outward. Begin to feel energy return to you with every count, and let every part of you, your mind, your heart, your body, let every part of you come together to be back in this world, feeling like this matter's settled. You thought about it and felt deeply enough about it that you're not going to revisit this in the future. It's done. It's no forever. 1. Become aware of what is outlasting what you had with tobacco. Like another breath, faithfully and dependably making sure that your life goes on. And perhaps some of the better feelings that you feel within. 2. Become aware and alert as to your breathing, your fingers interlaced, your feet on the floor, your body on the cushions. 3. And become aware perhaps of light coming through your closed eyelids. Become aware perhaps of how the rest of your day will be even better than yesterday or the day before. Because now your heart can finally be at peace. Now you don't have to think about a poison any longer. Now the matter is done, final, settled, and finished with. Thankfully. 4. As you start to emerge back to this room and back to this world, you are emerging feeling refreshed and comfortable, perhaps empowered, to live your life smoke-free. 4. Then feel a huge wave of energy start from the bottoms of your feet and go all of the way up to the top of your head, making you feel refreshed and energized, making you feel wonderful in every way, knowing that you've made a change, and an even stronger one than last week. And this will be a decision, it'll be a commitment that you're keeping for life. You've sacrificed tobacco for your family, for your good health, for your children, for yourself, for your peace of mind, for meeting your actual needs through first-rate solutions, and to correct a mistake that you made, honestly, at 13, that you don't have to keep living with any longer. 4. Then feel a huge wave of energy come from the bottoms of your feet and go all the way up to the top of your head, making you feel refreshed, making you feel wonderful, making you feel good in every way so that you are ready to be back in this room, back in this world on 5. Then in all the time that you need to accept and embrace today's perspectives and be back in this world. Then open your eyes to return fully back to the room that you're in. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Perfect. Perfect. Do you have any questions, thoughts, input, concerns?
No, I think I feel good.
Do you have any reservations or hesitations about throwing away any cigarettes or lighters or ashtrays or anything else like that you have?
No.
Okay. It can be quite symbolic to rid yourself of any attachments to sort of the past or what you had in the past. But symbols can be quite powerful, So, yeah, I guess we'll follow up in the coming weeks so I can update the viewers about how you're doing after the second session. Usually the feedback we get upon a 2-week follow-up is positive, and we'll just kind of follow up with you, and I'll sort of share with the viewers how you've been, and if necessary, we can bring you back for further sessions if you have the time for it. But I can tell you that I'm leaving you with a message that I've said everything I have to say for you to take it from here. That's what I believe is the most truthful thing that I could say. Yeah, so if you don't have any other questions or thoughts, I'll get to wrapping up and answering any questions from the viewers. You're all good?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I'm good.
Awesome. Okay, so thanks again for joining this live stream. That was for our 15 years at 15 Elm Street. I think I just got a message of some kind. But I'll answer questions right after. But yes, thank you for joining us for this 15 years at 15 Elm Street event that celebrates the founding of the Morpheus Clinic for Hypnosis in 2006. Our next session will be at the same time next week. It'll be with a client who's asked for help with a chronic illness and pain management. The description for this video should have a link, but otherwise, if you can't find it there, our social media, Facebook and Twitter, as well as our YouTube posts, should have a link before the event. If you're interested in participating as a volunteer for future live streams, or if you're interested in engaging with private paid sessions with me, you can contact the Morpheus Clinic for Hypnosis at www.morpheusclinic.com. Now I'm going to take some time to turn my attention to the live stream to see what has been said. So thank you, Javed. I do teach once in a while. I do teach usually only once a year, usually only to 4 to 6 students. And the pandemic's kind of thrown a wrench into my teaching plans. If there is enough interest, I would consider teaching online. So probably the best next step, if you're interested in finding out when I'm teaching again, is just to email us through the website. I'll add your name, your email, your phone number to a list of people I'll contact once I have course dates set. I was looking at teaching this September, but there's possibly going to be a 4th wave, and we're, going to kind of adjust course based on what's safe and what's prudent for everybody. But yeah, please get in contact with us and we'll take your information, and I'll let you know if I do have a course coming up. I also, of course, will be releasing more free content on the YouTube channel. I do very much have a desire to share information, to kind of take everything I've learned over my 15 years of practice, some of which I think is different from how other people do hypnotherapy. And I want to share it with the world. I'm basically mid-career right now, which means I feel like I have the experience to speak authoritatively about these topics, but also I don't have any fear that someone's just going to take what I do and do it themselves, because I'm just going to come up with more thoughts and more ideas. So yeah, I guess just looking at the live stream, I guess Javed, Heather already sent you a link. Rachel's name I haven't heard in a while, but thanks for joining. I hope you're well. Thank you. Majesty Crystal, thank you very much. And yeah, if there's any questions, I'll stay online for a few more minutes. But next week, you'll find a link somewhere. If not in this description, you'll find it in our YouTube posts in the coming week. It will be 5 o'clock, August 18th, on this channel, and it'll be the same format as this smoking session. I love questions. I love to explain hypnosis, so if you show up, and if I do get questions, this might become a regular event where even after the 15-year celebration, it's quite possible that I'll just enjoy doing this and I'll keep doing it. If not weekly, at least maybe once or twice a month. So I don't think there's any more questions. If you're watching afterward, or if you think of a question afterward, feel free to leave a comment below, and we'll respond to any questions that are left. Again, it's Luke Chao from the Morpheus Clinic for Hypnosis in Toronto, Canada, where we make hypnosis make sense. Okay,